here. As you guys know, we're at the Asking Good Questions and Figuring It Out workshop. So we're going to start off with a few introductions. So my name is Varsha. I'm 16 years old, and for the past few months, I've been working with BCIs. And with BCIs, I created a neurofeedback app for making meditation better with auditorial feedback. And right now I'm working on an anger management app that finds triggers with BCIs.
So if you guys don't know me already, I'm Nick. I'm 17 and I'm also a first year Innovate. Over the past few months, I've been working on artificial intelligence, and I've been doing sentiment analysis, which can extract the actual emotion from a given text. More recently, I've been doing learning more about the crypto field, and I started a startup with my friends that gives you analytics on a social cryptocurrency called BitClub.
And hey everybody, my name is Jibraan, but a common popular nickname in TKS is Jibby, so I'm also called that as well. But anyways, I'm also 17 years old in the Knowledge Society for my first year, and over the past few months, I've been diving into something called gene editing. And some of the projects I've done have been looking at how we can use CRISPR-Cas13 as a potential diagnostic and even a therapeutic for COVID-19, how we can use ultrasonic waves to kill bacterial infections from antimicrobial resistant bacteria. And recently, like right now, I'm working on a project that looks to create peanuts that don't cause allergies using CRISPR-Cas9.
All right, so I did put a link in the chat. You guys can click on it and you should see like how to figure it out and ask good questions. But if it doesn't, feel free to raise your hand. I can put it in the chat. Oh, I think the MCs are talking right now. But if you use the X, I think it should be fine. But okay, we're just gonna continue. Nick, you can explain. Okay, so the figure it out mindset is really important because you use it on an everyday basis. You might have to use it while you're making food and like you need a substitute for a recipe, or maybe you have like a test and your teacher didn't really teach you anything for it, so you have to figure it out all on your own. There's a lot of ways that you can use the figure it out mindset, but it becomes very useful when you use it for really complex topics. So someone who did this was actually Elon Musk. He didn't go to university for rocket science or anything specific for his companies. He figured it out on his own by reading books and talking to people, asking good questions, and figuring it out using the power of the internet. So we're going to start off with a little activity.
Okay, so the first activity is don't actually, in the Mentimeter, don't write the response to the prompts. Actually write how you're going to go about figuring it out. So the first prompt is, why does nodding of the head signify yes and shaking of the head signify no? I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds to figure this out.
So like, what are just some things you guys would do to like answer this question? And it could be like literally anything. Just go wild.
Okay, I would look on Google. That's a good answer. But it's done.
These books? Okay.
Libraries are cool. All right.
Okay, guys, time's up. So all of these are good answers. So what we did was we actually looked on Google. So as you can see, we searched up the prompt and then we clicked on the first Quora answer. The answer actually made sense to us. It's different in certain countries, but for like our country, it's that shaking your head signifies like bowing, and then turning away is like you're avoiding something. So that's what that is. Okay, these are some resources that are gonna come really handy. So the first is YouTube. YouTube gives you a super brief and quick overview of any topic in only a few minutes. Golden.com gives you a broad overview of a topic and more resources so you can expand your knowledge in any topic. Google Scholar gives you research articles, and it's actually cool to see what researchers are doing in any given field. And then Google Patents will show you new innovations in that field.
So in TKS, we did a hackathon called the Moonshot Hackathon. And in that, we basically had to create a company that solved a really big problem or something that was really cool that impacted a lot of people. So my group, it had Nick and a few other people. We created a pill with serotonin and nanobots that would help nerves regenerate. And this would be really good for things like paralysis. And we had no knowledge on this, like barely any knowledge, and it's a very complex topic. So what we did was we used these resources. Google Scholar came in very handy. We used Golden for other companies, and obviously YouTube for concise videos, as well as finding a talk. We found a talk that actually talked about using serotonin for nerve regeneration, and that's how it kind of formed into our idea with these resources. So the figure it out mindset is really helpful for doing things like even starting an entire company.
Okay, so this time we're gonna write the actual answers in the Mentimeter. So the prompt is, what determines what dreams a person has when he or she sleeps? You guys are gonna have 1 minute to answer this.
Remember to use the resources. Okay.
So like the real intention here is to just like train the figure it out mindset, right? Like, yeah, like who cares what the answer to this real actual question is? But the intention here is that most of you probably like don't know what the answer is. So it's to use the resources we just showed you to like figure it out, basically.
Mm-hmm. It is actually a cool question in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, BCI people.
I think there is a little confusion.
So you actually write the actual answer. Now this time we're not doing like how you would go about solving it like the last one. We're doing like the actual answer. So what actually would determine what
Google
dreams.
it. Your day, desires. How much time do they have left, Nick?
13 seconds.
Okay. Got a lot of answers.
Okay, yeah, you guys, time's up, but you guys actually did get similar to what we had. So a few of the things that we found are like whatever happened during their day. It could be just their brain processing random signals from their body, and it can also just be like unconscious wish or desires, or just whatever happened to them.
So yeah, now the figure it out mindset can help in a lot of different ways, but sometimes it's really hard to figure it out with just like the internet. So what we did for our Moonshot Hackathon, we were really confused for a lot of it because, again, we were talking about like lots of neuroscience that we had no idea about. So although we did get a good amount of information to help make that information a little bit more valid and things like that, we cold outreach to a few people and talked to neuroscientists in that field who helped us understand and learn more about what we didn't know. And we actually asked some really good questions to them to get that knowledge. And Jibby's gonna help you guys understand how to do that.
Exactly. So like Varsha mentioned, some things like out there you just like can't find by Googling. They're like buried within like the depths of like a topic, and only like really smart people in that field can like help you answer them. So in order to extract that information, you have to ask really, really good questions. And you can think of questions like keys to information. And the better the quality of your keys is, the better answers you're going to get. So before we talk about asking good questions, we need to look into what bad questions look like. So here are essentially a few traits of bad questions. And if you go through most of them, they all boil down to one basic sort of like principle, which is that like you have this idea already, or like this answer that you're looking for, and you're just like reverse engineering it to like have a question that leads to that answer. So basically you're validating your own sort of like opinion by asking someone a very like, engineered question. And then the last point over there is the right question, but the wrong person. And sometimes that is the case. Like you'll have the best question possible, but you'll ask it to the wrong person and they'll give you wrong results. So even identifying who you ask it to is important. Now, there's this diagram that I really want to show you. And they've also shown this to us in TKS. And when I learned about this, it just blew my mind. So I hope it does for you guys too. But anyways, in the center is this green like circle. And this represents like all the information that you know. So everything from like, you know, your birthday to like the city you live in, to like the number of countries in the world, like the population of Canada. All that would lie in this circle. I hope you guys know the population of Canada. Anyways, what lies in the next level is like what you know you don't know. So this is like if you go on Google, you like know what to search. So let's say I don't know like the population of kittens in South America. I know that's super random, but like I don't know what that is. So I would go on Google and like search, you know, populations of kittens in South America or whatever, right? So that is like something that I know I don't know. But you know those times where you just go on Google and you've given this like huge assignment in school or like some research project and you don't even like know where to start. You like don't even know what questions to ask. That's what lies in this I don't know that I don't know realm. It's just information that you like didn't even know you like needed. And the real trick with asking good questions is you want to pinpoint on this like other like layer on the outside. And I can give sort of an example of this. So for TKS, we had this consulting challenge with the United Nations. And in it, long story short, I had a meeting with this high school teacher from Rwanda. And I thought I knew the situation pretty well. I thought I knew like the ins and outs of it. I was reading articles on Google. I was watching videos on YouTube and like just like, you know, all over like blog posts and stuff. But after I had that meeting, like everything just changed. And that's because she just dropped knowledge on me that was from a perspective I didn't even consider. It was knowledge that lied in that I don't know realm. And after that, that green bubble in the center grew to the size of the other bubble around it. And it was just a really, really good experience. So that's kind of an example of what I mean by seeking information that lies in this realm. But you're probably asking yourself, like, how do I even do that? So there's three main things you got to keep in mind. One, if not like the most important, is keeping your questions open-ended. If you keep your questions closed-ended, like a yes or no question, you're not going to expand the scope of your question as much as you would if you're asking an open-ended question. You basically want the person you're talking to like talk as much as possible and drop as many data points on you as possible and like just absorb it all like a sponge. The next one is seek what you don't know, which is kind of obvious because why would you ask a question about something you like already know? What I mean by this is specifically seeking like what I don't know that I don't know. And you can do that by talking to really, really smart people in the field of what you're doing and like identifying who these smart people are, like just Googling the top people in that field. So here's a scenario, like so let's say there's a lot of information out there you don't know. So what are some questions you could ask to like get this information, right? Let's put it into actual words. So tell me more. Why could that be? And my favorite, what is a question I haven't asked you that might be important? And these questions are great because they're open-ended as like they're really open-ended. And another thing is that it really is that simple. Like getting this information that's like you don't know might seem scary, but it really just boils down to having simple questions like this. And you want to just ask really open-ended questions first and then narrow down from there based on the answers you get. Another big thing to keep in mind is to not ask something that's easily Googleable. Imagine if you had a meeting with Elon Musk and you asked him what the net worth of his company was in that meeting. Just imagine. And the thing is, you're not even wasting his time. You're also wasting your own time because in the meantime, you could have Googled the answer to that and like possibly created a even a deeper and like richer question off of that answer. And another big thing to keep in mind is also asking something that only the person you're talking to would know. So back to the Elon Musk example. Let's say you're talking to Elon Musk and you ask him a question that could have easily been answered by his secretary. Like in that case, why are you even talking to Elon Musk, right? Why are you even wasting the time to do that when you could be talking to a secretary? So that was pretty much a like rough crash course guide on asking really good questions. We don't have the most time in the world. There's a lot of stuff in this topic, but to sort of like solidify it all together, we're going to wrap up the workshop with this one last activity. We're just going to go back to Varsha for the for a screen.
All right, so we're going to share a screen one more time, but we're going to be using the mentee link that I sent before. If you don't have it open, here it is again. So if you put that in the chat, we have a little scenario.
So basically, here's the scenario. And you guys, the whole point of this activity is you're going to submit questions to us and we're going to make them go from good to great. So you have this like awesome idea. Maybe it's like a startup idea. Maybe it's an idea for like some project you want to do, but you aren't sure if it's good and like it makes sense. So you've talked to some of your friends about it and like now you're looking for feedback on it. So you want to like poke holes in the idea. Maybe you want to like figure out how you can improve and stuff. But I might just giving away some information there. But yeah, you basically want to ask questions that will give you the most like feedback on this idea. So what would you ask some of your friends? And like keeping in mind the principles that we just went over like in the presentation. Yeah, so we already got one. So tell me why my idea is good. So I think we'll wait for some more to come in, but I can still get started on this one. So I want to hear Varsha and Nick your thoughts as well. But for this question, I think that like is definitely like really close-ended because you're only looking at like the good parts of your idea and you're pretty much assuming that the person you're talking to is like, or like you're already assuming that like the person like talking to assumes your idea is good. So you're just asking them like, why is my idea good? Like if you think it's bad, like screw you, right? That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from this question. Any other like thoughts from you guys? And we can go over like making it better.
Yeah, so I think that this question is more validation. You're not actually asking for feedback. You're just seeking validation on what you already have, which isn't really going to help you improve on whatever your idea is.
But I still think it is a little bit of a good question because it helps you understand what is good, what you should keep, maybe emphasize a bit more on or spend more time on. So lots of questions, so let's head on to the next one.
Do you think my idea is possible? Okay, I think that's also a good, I see a pretty good question, but I think to make it a great question, what you could also do, so right now, you're asking if your idea is possible. So do you sort of, it's framed as a yes or no question. The person's going to be like yes or no, but you could have done like, do you think my idea is possible? And like add a clause at the end, which would be like why or why not, just so that like you get them to like actually talk about like why they think so or why they don't think so. So you can sort of like get information or like feedback on like why that is.
I don't think you should ever ask anybody if it's possible because it's just a limiting question. And I think that you can do whatever you want. And I think screw everybody.
So what do you think? Like how would you create like edit this question to make it better, or would you just never ask this question in the first place?
I would never ask that question because I don't want to be told that I can't do something that I want to do. And I don't like to tell others whether or not something's possible or not, because I know everything is possible. There's nothing anybody can't do if they want to. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, the word impossible itself spells out I'm possible. So, yeah. All right, let's go on to the next question, guys. And actually, we want to hear more feedback from you guys. So like the next question, we're going to actually ask the audience to sort of like pitch in some of their ideas and what you guys think we can do to make this question go from being good to great. So what's one thing that I should definitely be aware of and I'm not aware of in this space? I think that's what it means. So any like thoughts from the audience? I definitely have some thoughts on this, but you can type in the chat, you can raise your hand. Like anything you guys like, any ideas, just post them in the chat or like raise your hand.
Yeah, I think it's great to have some different perspective because sometimes people have another idea, just complete different viewpoint, something you haven't thought of. So it's great to get some feedback.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts?
I think we can stick to one person per question.
Okay, sure, that works. That works, yeah.
All right, Jimmy, what are your thoughts?
I mean, like, yeah, she pretty much said it all. Like, that was on my mind.
All right, let's go to the next question.
So if you were to utilize this idea, what would be the pros and cons for you? And which would outweigh the other? Okay. Anyone from the audience want to just like raise your hand, type in the chat maybe. This is your opportunity to just like get better at identifying what good questions are, and how when even you're talking about or asking your own questions, how you can make them better. So just like and even if like what you say is like not the most correct thing in the world, like that doesn't matter. We're all here like to learn and grow. So type whatever, or just like raise your hand. And yeah.
I think Jake, you raised your hand before.
Yeah, I think this one is pretty solid. It's a step past what do you like about my idea, because you're getting the good and the bad. And I like that it has that follow-up of which outweighs the other, so that you can kind of actually take into account the importance of each of those, because you could have a pros and cons list with like 5 pros and 5 cons, but there has to be a relative weighting for each of those, because the importance is going to vary. So you're ultimately getting to the question, is this like net positive or net negative?
Yeah, and even better thing too to bring up is that like when we were actually doing this exercise like ourselves, one of like the best questions or one of the good questions you can ask is to ask your friend to think about this idea from the perspective of like someone actually using it or someone actually like being like an investor. So it's right here in the question, it says like if you were to utilize this idea, which makes the person answering it like talk to you from the perspective of a customer or of like an investor, which is a great strategy. Yeah, Jake?
Just pertaining to the main question, just with my experience with building stuff, a big thing that you should be wary of, especially with startup ideas, or in this case, an awesome idea, is biases. It's not entirely involved with this question, but typically if you ask a parent or a mom or anyone you're really close with about the idea, they may offer up feedback that is already biased because they don't want to make you feel bad. If you want to kind of learn a little bit more about how to ask good questions about your startup, look into something called the Mom Test. It's essentially something written by a YC founder and an alumni who essentially basically built out a guide to ask questions about your startup. I know it wasn't relevant. I just thought it might add some value to those who are building.
Okay. Just really quickly, the networking session I'm pretty sure has started on GatherTown. But if you want to stay and continue looking at these questions, no problem. We're going to keep going through them. So yeah, next question.
Varsha, you want to read it out?
All right, so how can I add value to the current idea? I think this is pretty good. It's kind of the same question as how can I make it better, but like kind of spicier. But what are your thoughts, JB?
Yeah, it's kind of like same sort of thing, right? It's like, how can I make this idea better? And maybe even like it's nice to understand like how do you, or what am I doing well right now that I should keep doing, right? So how can I add value to the current idea, and what should I sort of like keep doing at the same time? Because that's also a good thing to like know about.
All right, a few more questions.
Okay. Assuming I'm an expert, if this project fails, why do you think that would be? I think that's a great question, actually. I think this is a fantastic question. Because one, you're asking the right person, and like, you're assuming you're talking to the right person here, which is an expert. And if this project would fail, why would that be? So you're literally asking them to pinpoint the holes in your idea, which is really, really valuable information, because that's sort of the first thing you can tackle solving right away.
All right. Next question, we're going to ask the audience. Do you think it's worth pursuing? What are y'all's thoughts?
I don't think it matters what anybody else thinks with what you're worth pursuing, because I've had numerous people tell me all my life, you can't do that. Oh, that'll never work. Oh my God, what are you doing? Why are you doing this, Tammy? Like, are you crazy? Like, I'd rather put needles in my eyes. What are you thinking? Why did you put that video out the other day? From one colleague to another, what are you trying to accomplish? You know what? Just give everybody a big, oh, sorry. I just think that what you want to pursue should just be something that you want to do. And it's anybody's opinion of what you're doing or why you're doing it is none of your business. Yeah, their opinion is none of your business. And I think if you want to get some good feedback, like, what do you think I could do to make this more worthwhile? Like, I don't know, or like to add value. What could I do to add value? I think is a great question. Or what would you do if you were gonna try this? But I don't I don't think just there's too many naysayers.
Yeah, it also goes back to the point of like opinion versus like fact, right? Where it's like it's not a fact whether this is worth pursuing or not. It's sort of like an opinion sort of thing, right? If it's like a fact where it's like I want to go to like Mars, but like let's say going to Mars is just like factually impossible, like then yeah, sure, like their opinion, not opinion, but like what they were giving you is like factual, right? But yeah, like exactly, your point was great. I think in the chat even someone mentioned that it's really important for yourself to answer this one genuinely. Because if it's worth pursuing for like yourself, then just go ahead and do it. Oh, I think one person actually added on too, like, what are some roadblocks that might appear while pursuing this? That's also a good way to sort of rephrase that idea. Yep.
Okay, we're gonna do maybe like 3 more questions because time is running up, but we can do like maybe 2 more questions. Sorry for anyone else who didn't have that. You can always email us or talk to us or direct message us on Zoom if you want that. But what more can I add to this idea to help it become the absolute best? So yeah, asking for feedback again.
I think it's the same sort of theme, right? Like poking holes in the solution. Not poking holes, but like, what can I do to make it better? Basically, it's always better to like look for improvement. That's sort of the main theme here. I think you guys have like hooked onto it pretty well. Is that in this case, when you're asking your friends for feedback, you're always looking to like grow in a sense, right? We don't want questions that are asking about like, is it a good idea or a bad idea, but more like, what can I do to my idea that will make it better, or like, what are some things that are wrong with my idea? So, yep.
Yeah, it's also like a super big thing in TKS. Like we always give each other feedback because that's the only way you can improve.
Mm-hmm. We have like feedback channels on like our like platform. There's ways that like you're encouraged to write feedback because like you get like prizes if you do. Yeah, feedback is a really big part of it. But I think this is going to be our last question.
Can you guys just tell me how you got into TKS though? And because I just got this link to join today from Ali Dalla at
Oh, okay.
Fineo, and I was like all excited because you know, people my age are like kind of just stuck, like they're not very innovative and don't want to hear anything new and are just a little bit more negative and pessimistic and closed-minded. So I was all excited about this today. So how did you guys get started on this? And yeah, how does this all work? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing here.
Okay, so yeah, TKS, it's a really cool program. Obviously, you do have to apply and all of that. We can send you their website if you want to know more specifically about TKS. But in TKS, basically, there's a lot of sessions where we focus on mindsets in those sessions, and then we'll do a bunch of skills. Like in the sessions, we've done like Harvard business cases and like all of the things. And then we'll have like different challenges and hackathons. Like I explained, like we had a moonshot hackathon. We've had like AI hackathons. For challenges, we got to work with Instacart and like the UN. So they kind of just like give these opportunities to us. And like since we're around so many people doing things with emerging tech, it kind of just like motivates us to also work with the emerging tech. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. You guys are so amazing. Sorry, I love this.
Yeah, I mean, like I found out about it through a couple of friends and even like an email that Decca sent me one time. I went on the website and basically the whole point of TKS is to introduce young people to like these emerging technologies that are only really being used by like people who are like really like, you know, old and stuff. Not old, but like older than we are. And so having young people use this like technologies and like with like such like a young mind where like you can absorb information like a sponge, you can just do like a lot of cool stuff. So that's basically the whole philosophy behind the program. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all the time we have for today. If you guys want to like talk to any of us, we're more than happy to connect with you guys in the Gather session. But I think before we go, the real key takeaway that we wanted you guys to take away is that like the questions we asked today weren't super like sure like applicable or whatever, but the idea was that like with these tools, like you guys already have Google, you guys already have YouTube, you guys already know what the internet is, right? But most of us don't actually know the power of the internet and the power of all these things. Everything we do in TKS, or pretty much everything we do in TKS, is like learned from the internet. kids like aren't taught like how to do AI from like teachers and TKs. It's literally the internet. We go on the YouTube to like learn how to do stuff. So the key takeaway is that you can literally learn anything with the internet. You can figure out anything on your own. And if you can't use the internet, then use the frameworks that I just showed you on asking good questions to talk to really smart people in those fields and like extract that information you really need. And yeah, that's kind of pretty much wraps it. And yeah, figure it out. Yes. But yeah, wrap it up right there, and we'll see you guys in the Gather Town session.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, I had to take a screenshot with my phone for the email address because I don't know how to
okay.
Write your email
save up. I'm just like retarded with this. Like, sorry. Okay, hopefully I'll make it back to Gather Town.
Yeah, the link should be there in the chat.
Okay, thanks.
Don't know your email. Yeah. Thanks for coming, Tammy, and being so active. It really helped.
Thank you guys so much for
liven up our
participating.
Workshop.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Do we head back to Gather Town now?
Yeah. We're just making sure everyone makes their way on there. So you can leave the Zoom if you're already in Gather Town. Is anybody having issues joining back? No. Okay.
All right. Just feel free to tell us if you do. All right, so there's less than 1 minute left, so the meeting's going to end soon. Thanks, you guys.
Tammy, have you found your way back?